introduce a 10-year ID, just take into account that an ID in this country is everything. You can't enter a supermarket, you can't open a bank account, the old and PWDs cannot access social safety net funds without an ID. Now, if you are going to have that ID last for 10 years, then you must put in place a seamless renewal process so that people don't suffer because of failure to renew an ID card. And you, as if you are approved to go back to office, I would want to see that you draft regulations that will guide and manage renewal of IDs and bring to Parliament for approval. The second issue I want to ask you, nobody asked you, prisons fall under your authority if you are approved. What are you doing, or what do you propose to do about prison reforms? I remember when we were senators and we went with you to Kitui, and we found prisoners literally half naked, poorly dressed, and looking like they were very poor hygienic conditions in which they were operating. What are you going to do, if approved, in prison reforms to make prisons more humane? And also, what are you going to do to reverse the continuing stealing and grabbing of public land occupied by prisons in the country, which is going on all over? Thirdly, the new constitution allows Kenyans who had left the country, taken greener pastures, and acquired citizenships of other countries to reacquire Kenyan citizenship on application. That's what the constitution says. But we get a lot of communication and phone calls from Kenyans out there who are struggling to reclaim their citizenship because they have either British or American or whatever citizenship. What are you doing to simplify? Because the constitution says you reclaim your citizenship on application. What are you going to do to simplify the process of reclaiming citizenship by Kenyans who lost their citizenship? If you can answer those, then I'll come to other simpler questions to you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, on the first issue of IDs, I agree with your recommendation and guidance that we should consider a seamless transition from after the 10 years to avoid creating a crisis. I believe it will be possible because we had a similar situation with passports when we went into e-passports. So what you do, for example, is to say that the ID that has expired will continue operating until you get a new one, for example, because you cannot be faulted because of a government administrative measure. Number two, we will make sure that we anticipate and put in place a rapid response initiative where you deploy additional facilities, additional service points, additional personnel, even if it's on a temporary basis, at a time when many of these IDs will be expiring. But by and large, the old ID, the expired ID should work until when the state gives you a new one, because it's simply for technology purposes, safety features. It is not that we will give again another ID. It might even be the same depending on whether or not we will consider that ID as being secure, a secure document by that time. With regard to regulations as guided, we will prioritize that, Mr. Speaker. With regard to Kenya prisons, we have part of the Maraga Task Force report. We have a number of recommendations on modernizing and reforming the prisons, which we are taking up, I have prepared a CAB memo which had not been submitted to cabinet, but I'm sure if I'm reappointed, that will be a priority. And the areas of reform include making the prison enterprises more productive by investing in better technology in their workshops to make sure they produce more competitive goods which are affordable. Number two, welfare issues.
In fact, these seats you see here were made by prisons.
Absolutely. So if they are empowered, because that is labor and skill is available, if they are given better equipment and for carpentry, for masonry and other skills in the prisons, we're going to have better output and generate more revenue and avoid the prisons relying on S-check all the time in these times of constrained budget. We also want to make sure that we improve on welfare issues, including the terms and conditions of service of prison wardens. Is part of the Maraga Task Force recommendation in consultation with the SRC. We also are working on software issues, for example, providing mattresses. We have a program called One Prisoner, One Mattress program, where up to now we have provided 10,000 from our budget, but also with the support of other partners. And we want to make sure that every prisoner at least has a mattress, as we even work on physical facilities and the housing for our prison warders. We want to construct 28,000, and we have already, I think, I don't have the figures right now, but I think we've done nearly 500 in different prison facilities. We want to do 28,000, which should almost meet the entire demand, because that is almost the population of our prison personnel complement. Other than that, the prison land, there are certain serious encroachments on prison land. The most notorious one is the Kitale prison land, where out of the 3,000 acres, only less than 300 are available. The rest have been grabbed by powerful and former senior people in various administrations and their friends. We will have to recover it. We have engaged the National Land Commission and other stakeholders. We will recover the land. They say that every prison land must have a title deed. Many of our prison lands are not titled, so we are working protected through titling. The last question, Mr. Speaker, sir, you asked is about those Kenyans who are regaining citizenship. We have made tremendous progress, and I want to admit, in line with what the Leader of Majority said, I think the communication is what we need to improve on. We have made tremendous improvement and reformship applications by foreign nationals who want to be Kenyans, but also by Kenyans who had lost their nationality before the 2010 Constitution and are now entitled to reapply. When I came to office, there were 2,700 pending applications. I cleared the backlog within 30 days. Right now, we are receiving applications on a rolling basis. I had directed the Directorate to ensure that from the time of application to the time the minister signs off that application for regaining citizenship, it should not be more than 21 days. And I think that is work in progress. Lastly, how do we simplify? We will reduce the paperwork. There is a bit of paperwork in that directorate, yes. And we want to reduce it and go digital and make sure that we even bring the timelines from 21 days to 7 days to possibly 3 days on application. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lastly, nominee, do you hold any leadership position in any political party?
No.
Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any integrity-related reports?
No.
On investigations? Do you hold citizenship of any other country?
No.
What is your worth?
694 million.
Made of?
Made of I have 2 homes, one in Nairobi and one in Tharaka Nithi. Then I have landed buildings, about 235 million. My 2 homes are worth 190 million. And then I also have savings in SACCOs and banks. I also do legal practice, so I have a bit of revenue that I've generated through my law firm, and that is it. And I forgot, Mr. Speaker, when I was filling in, I forgot to add, I have vehicles of about 17 million, which are not part of that report. I apologize. I remembered after I had submitted the questionnaire.
Honorable members, we received memoranda from one Eliud Karanja Matindi, Isaac Alwacher, Joseph